I recall that many years ago, when Carol and I were serving Central Union Church in Honolulu, a big church, a magnificent church really, a 10-acre campus, an enormous facility. Anyway, at the corner of Punahou and Baratania Street, we had a signboard where we put out, coming attractions, sermon titles and things like that. And I was preaching an upcoming Sunday, and I had chosen as my theme a song title by Burt Bacharach and Hal David, What the World Needs Now is Love. And I thought that was a sweet thought. But one of the interesting things, that signboard was located very close to a bus stop. And after school, we'd have any number of kids who would be around there and waiting for the bus. They needed to occupy themselves. So oftentimes what they do is shake the signboard and see what fell off. So, as I said, I had a sermon title. They'd put it out, and by their shaking, it came out, what the world needs now is Craig Reynolds. That's what I thought. Oh my goodness gracious. So anyway, but but I'm remembering one of the classic mistakes on church bulletin boards was that concerned the late Martin Hardin, who was the pastor of a church in Ithaca, New York. And on Monday morning, he told the custodian to put up the topics for the following Sunday. They had a service at 11 o'clock and then an evening service at 7:30. And for the evening service, he had planned to do a series on the Psalms, and his text would be, "The fool has said in his heart, there is no God." He hadn't decided yet what the morning theme would be, so he said, just say, Dr. Hardin will preach. The custodian found that he couldn't get the whole text on the bulletin board, so he worked out his own abbreviation, which appeared to passersby as follows. Sunday, October 24th, 11 o'clock, Dr. Hardin will preach. 7:30 p.m., what the fool said. Oh, ouch. So, what the world needs now is love, sweet love. I like the theme, but I want to take exception to the title. What the world needs now, more than anything else, is confidence. Confidence in God, confidence in the power of righteousness, and confidence in ourselves. Basically, we're suffering from a lack of confidence in anything. We've lost confidence in our leaders, many of whom seem to have lost their way. We've lost confidence in institutions that we have believed in and supported most of our lives, and we deal with this every day. I think we've lost confidence in ourselves as having any power to affect the future. The people of ancient Israel lacked confidence in the future. They were constantly shaken by the clash of empires. Egypt, Babylonia, and Assyria were forever on the march, and their nation was always caught in the middle. Their land was ravaged. Their cities were destroyed again and again. But somehow they were steadied by a sure face that the Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He leadeth me beside still waters. He restoreth my soul. When crisis came, they had confidence in God. Not just whistling in the dark to keep up their courage. They had a grip on something they could trust. They might be carried away captive or crushed beneath the chariots of their conquerors. Nevertheless, they would fear no evil, for thou art with me. Whatever happened, they could manage it For thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. The psalmist was saying that when confidence in everything else is gone, we can be sure of our Creator. When the secular supports for security have been broken, we can find inner security in God. As Christians, can we have any less confidence in God, no matter how frustrating our lives might seem to be? It really doesn't matter if we can say, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." For we know then that we can begin to have confidence in ourselves. The psalmist had a phrase to describe our deepest need. He leadeth me beside still waters. He restoreth my soul. If I can regain confidence, I can perhaps regain confidence in myself once I regain confidence in God. You know, the late Arnold Toynbee, the great historian, once wrote that the human spirit will fail without repeated withdrawal to the secret place of the Most High. His study of history, he said, had proven to him that we cannot manage our lives wisely without a periodic withdrawal to the presence of God in order to see life steady and to see it whole. If the Lord is truly the shepherd of our lives, then we ought to really be willing to walk with Him beside the still waters and into the valley of the shadow. Beside the still waters, said the psalmist, He restoreth my soul. And then notice the sequence. With confidence, the writer says, He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for His name's sake. As you may know, the Hebrew word for soul is exactly the same as the word for breath. Literally, the psalmist says, He gives us a second wind. That's so important. And God directs our efforts into the paths of righteousness. The genius of Abraham Lincoln during the tragic years before and during the Civil War lay in the fact that from the beginning to the end he was guided by a moral principle. His thinking had moral roots. Through all the years of conflict and trial, he never once lost confidence in the power of righteousness and truth. In the face of every pressure, every criticism, every bitter denunciation, he clung to his basic principle, the preservation of the Union. He refused to be lured by side issues or pressed into doctrine by expediency. There's a small room that adjoins the sanctuary of the New York Avenue Presbyterian Church in Washington, D.C., that is marked with a plaque saying that many times President Lincoln had come to that spot to worship in silence and to pray for strength. He was a man of moral character and a man of faith. In every hour of human destiny, we need confidence in the power of righteousness. We turn away from the paths of righteousness and we lose our nerve for living. Bishop Hans Lilja was one of the heroes of the German resistance movement. In his little book, The Valley of the Shadow, he tells about the endurance of those with confidence in the presence of God in their lives. With them, he said, as it ought to be with you and with me, religion is not a fruit on the tree that may or may not be plucked according to the taste of the individual. It is the very air they breathe, the very atmosphere in which all things move and live. They open their lives to God, and in the sense of God's presence, their lives achieve strength and courage and meaning and hope. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness. Yes, we need love. We hear it from every songwriter, from every psychologist, every novelist. We need love, but the world needs now confidence. Confidence in God, confidence in ourselves as children of God, and in the power of righteousness. Many years ago, an American Airlines DC-6, that's a long time ago that they were flying, it had a propeller shear off a portion of the fuselage and destroy half of the controls. The pilot, the plane was at 21,000 feet over the Colorado Rockies, and the pilot was able to make an emergency landing in Denver without the loss of life. A reporter covering the story asked the pilot, "Just what do you do when half of your engine and half of your controls are gone?" The pilot responded with these words, "You just move a little bit and make room for God." I think we've come in this battered, frightened world to precisely that point. We too ought to move a bit and let God take over. That is what the world needs now. May you be blessed by this simple witness. In His name, amen.